All right, so I realized I would like my videos to be a bit better organized, and I just started thought I would start here. So I've done all my work. Um, my watch list. I'm going to explain it. So I kind of have a macro outlook described by this chart. That's the macro outlook, and what you're going to see is like UCO. Look at the volume. It's very in play. Um, the next thing is, and this is like a bit of a read for me, well, look at the setup first of all. Um, I think there's really good potential for this to follow through because I think with the I was saying this as I was like free talking with the advent of the word taco. I think there's a huge opportunity and huge psychological pressure on Trump to follow through with whatever he says or does in Iran. Like I think there's huge like pressure for that to happen. Um, and I feel like a flag like this has a lot of potential to go parabolic, and it's likely to remain a theme for the next few months at the minimum. So we have that. The thing is, Nasdaq futures are down 1%. So if you look at UCO intraday after it breaks out, the typical breakout does not work in day one. You're much better off waiting for the close and putting a stop at the low of day. So here's a breakout and it works, right? Intraday is almost meaningless. Here is another breakout and it's like, again, it's meaningless. Here's another one. It was meaningful here in this case, right? That wasn't a good close, but it failed. But like, here's another one where it's like, you could have just waited to the close. There's no open range break pressure. Oil isn't that fast of a mover on breakout flag breakouts. Here's another. I would have said this is a good breakout, or the day before was. Um, this was a good breakout, but it didn't work. Right? Like I would say this day it broke out, but if you bought it at the close and put a stop down here, you're not crazy, and that ended up working. But then the second time it broke out, same thing. It didn't. It wasn't crazy. So I'm gonna wait to the close because every time oil breaks out, it on something it doesn't do a whole lot. Here's another example. The breakout was technically the day before, but the gap chase, nothing crazy. Here's another. If you bought it here, the stop has to be kind of down here, and it would have barely stopped you out, I think. But that's the point. So I don't expect oil to make any big moves intraday because it usually doesn't, right? Even though it's a big gap and everything. What I think is going to happen is if we look at Nasdaq, we're back to 606, which has like been a common level for the Nasdaq, 1% above 600, and usually on a gap down like this, it's going to take out the lows and bounce. Like that's the framework you have to approach this with. It's not. It's not gonna do that. More like that realistically, right? So I'm expecting like a choppy day from the Nasdaq, and I'm really reminded of this day here where Nasdaq gapped down and MU gapped down on earnings, and MU just went up all day. So this is obviously a different context because this is a bunch of new prices that it gapped into. But for a stock, like if we look at the most active high price stock right now, um, this thing's going to open at 21.20 and there's going to be a huge setup there. So the way I think of this is you have the opportunity to line up Fastly for the mean reversion, and then UCO for the breakout. And that's how I'm going to approach tomorrow. I don't think there's any other like solid way of doing this. If you're trying to fight it out, Fazli's obviously in play at the open. There's not going to be any earnings news or anything that like usurps how active Fazli is right now. Um, like it's the stock of the market, and that's the one to watch. And then the thing is, with the macro situation, Nasdaq isn't in play. It's not in out. It's not like it's in play twice a year, like realistically, maybe 12 times, but and oil's in play. So there's going to be probably a bounce in this stock. And once that bounce happens, NASDAQ is just going to die and all equities are going to die and all the attention is going to go to oil. And that's kind of what I see happening. So I'm mentally preparing to take a swing, and it's not going to be a swing, it's going to be a position. Because when oil runs, which it could, day trading is going to be really hard, basically, unless there's like epic gaps into new prices, which if you look at NASDAQ, you know, we're very far from those. It's like the only time NASDAQ is in play is going to be at 620, right? Roughly, not literally, but maybe down here. But it's not even close. It's not even close. So there's no point trying. So that's what I see. That's what's happening. And that's my game plan. It's going to be Fastly open range break, probably 1 minute, 5 minute. I'll give it 2 tries. And I'm hoping my LWLG gaps higher because I'm in that. And I don't know if it will gap higher, but that's my hope. My hope is that it gaps up like this, and then I can sell it and trade Fastly and then trade oil. So that's my game plan. If Fastly, if LWLG gaps lower, I'm still going to sell it. Like there's nothing else to do. It's not very in play anymore because LWLG is like an optic, like a fiber optics company. I looked up their website and that's what it seems. It's some sort of tech company, even though this is what it says. So if you like look up the chart of maybe it's not core. Look at this move. Look at the flag recently. It's kind of close recently, and it kind of has the general move going for it. So I don't think it's directly correlated. My fear is that it's going to gap down. Doesn't matter. The trade took place. I decided to hold it. Literally, there's nothing to do. It's like move on, go to Fastly, then trade oil. So that's how I'm going to attack tomorrow. It's going to be a big day, and I'm now done trading. I couldn't keep away from the screens, but I have other things I have to do, so it's hard to not think about this kind of thing. So made the video, now I can move on. That's my game plan. I'm gonna write it down and then focus on the econometrics work I have to be doing. So that's my plan.